Good evening, everybody. This is Steve with the Real Progressives. I have the pleasure and the honor of bringing a guest on, a DC activist, Matt Orfalea. Matt, welcome to Real Progressives. How are you doing, sir?
Good. Thanks for having me, Steve.
No problem, man. So do me a favor. I have been fascinated with your work. The videos that you produce are epic. I have not seen a single one that has been anything other than stellar. What do you do with this? How do you do it? And what's the process? What goes the process?
Well, thanks. First of all, thanks. I got a lot of editing experience working in the TV and mostly editing like teases and trailers. And so really my method is just trying to jam as much information and energy into a short amount of time as possible. That's the kind of and then another thing is you just got to find good content. Internet, there's just so much great content. It just takes some time to really just like got really the answer, dude. I just watch too many videos, and so you just find all the great little bits, and that's it.
Awesome. Well, so let's talk about this for a second. So the thing about Matt, I was so mesmerized by his videos that we reached out to him and actually asked him. And the thing is to be our media guy. And Matt is so good on his own. And I look at it and we would have just ruined it for him, I think, quite frankly, because the guy is a genius. If you haven't seen his videos, go check out his page, Matt Orfalea. I mean, you have a YouTube channel as well, correct?
Yeah, youtube.com/Orf. Or if you want to check it out.
It's fantastic. I mean, seriously. And so that's how I got to meet Matt, so to speak, is through his videos, through trying to chase him down. He had a Jill that was my first baptism. And he did several other videos, one on the Dakota pipeline that was anything but a smile fest. It was very gut-wrenching to watch the torment and torture that those water protectors went through. But Matt, we're here for another purpose tonight. And you are leading a direct action in DC for the basic income guarantee, or as you call it, what is the way you say it?
So many ways. Basic income guarantee, MLK called guaranteed income, and then the common term people are using is a universal basic income. And what it is just guaranteeing everybody an income. And basic income refers to the amount being enough to cover for basic necessities.
Okay. So talk to me about what this action is going to do. I mean, talk about the genesis of it and why and so forth, because there's a story behind this with MLK, correct?
Yes. So people have been universal basic income a lot recently because of the trend of automation and job automation, losing jobs to technology. And so, however, there's a long history of it, including MLK being a big proponent of it in his last book and his last year. He wrote about in his last book, Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community, dedicated the last couple of chapters to this. And he also proposed the idea of a guarantee. We're going to be talking about that versus guaranteed income. But I'll say, Stephen, that while he said we need a job guarantee or an income guarantee in order to eliminate poverty, he did say that the most effective solution, an efficient solution, would be guaranteed income.
Yes, understood.
Oh, sorry. And let me say about this action. So what we're going to do is, if you go to MLK Memorial in DC, you see a bunch of quotes, an amazing statue of MLK, but no has anything to do with the guaranteed income. Most of us almost everybody's only familiar with MLK in his work in the civil movement for racial equality and racial justice. However, huge part of his life is dedicated to economic justice for everybody, all races, that justice. But really, most of that memorial, it's doesn't economic justice, and that's super relevant. So is there's still race issues, but our goal is to basically make a small mobile of the economic justice of MLK.
Well, that's fantastic. So one of the core pillars of Real Progressives is economic justice. And you'll note it, well, for those of you who follow Real Progressives day in and day out, the big thing that we focus on is, in fact, economic justice, surrounded by monetary sovereignty and MMT, or modern monetary theory. And modern monetary theory takes the tack that the real way of providing the very things that MLK spoke for was through the federal job guarantee, which John Conyers and actually Bernie Sanders had worked on as well. The issue with the basic income guarantee from an has been that there is a potential for inflation, and number two, it doesn't solve for some of the other key economic drivers like pegging. We jokingly call it the job standard as opposed to the gold standard. But basically with the job guarantee, you're giving the economy a buffer with providing jobs and basing your economy based on your labor pool, because we're not ever short of dollars. The issue is always that we're short of political will to spend them. And as it stands today, we have this thing called NARU, which is like basically forced unemployment that they use to keep things, to keep inflation at a certain level. And
hey, Stephen,
so,
yeah.
Sure.
I was going to say, what is NARU? I actually haven't heard NARU. I don't remember.
So that is the basic way that they measure unemployment, and that is a government. It's NAIRU, and what they do is they create this forced level of unemployment based on old logic, and that's the way they quote unquote keep the scarcity of the dollar and the value of the dollar and inflation and blah blah blah, because they're deathly afraid of full employment. So this is monetarist gold bug logic. And the reality is that when you look at a gold standard or you look at a basic income guarantee, that money's got to come from somewhere. And it's not going to come via taxation, because federal taxes, we know empirically, do not fund spending, though it's little known and people end up fighting about this constantly. The reality is that either one of these is going to require deficit spending by our federal government. And when you look at the basic income guarantee and you look at the job guarantee as complementary programs, you satisfy the people that are indigent, that are incapable of work, that maybe don't want to work, or maybe, whatever. There's a host of reasons why someone might just go with that route. But the flip side is that there is a potential to have both. And so redefining one aspect of this, there are some people that would like to say that they could replace a minimum wage with a job guarantee. And then that way, no matter what, the private sector can't hire you unless they can beat the job guarantee. And that builds into a permanent, living wage. So there's a whole bunch of reasons for it, and there's just as many reasons against it, because, from my perspective, you look at what is work. Work might be taking care of your sick grandmother. Work might be staying at home with your child, raising them. Work might be an activist. There's a host of ways of viewing what work can be in a modern society. And I think that right there is the key differentiator. Most people think that it's just shovel-ready jobs, going out there and digging holes and filling them back up. And that's not what we're talking about at all. Okay. So I think there's some room there. Go ahead.
So you're interested in both and you think, why not do both? That's kind of what you're saying. I'm getting.
Absolutely.
I'm
yes.
definitely focused on. I think a basic income should be the big goal for. Hey, obviously, in the meantime, sure, we need some more jobs. I think guaranteed income is a better solution than guaranteed job. Now, here's let me say, do you have a preference to one or the other? Like, if you had to choose one?
Well, I believe that the job guarantee provides people the ability to express themselves. So that the job guarantee is the ultimate answer when you consider, if you have to pick one or the other, I'm going to go job guarantee. But the flip side to that is that I don't want to go one or the other. I consider a BSG, basic survival. Well, actually, I think it was a BSM, basic survival needs. But instead of having one or the other, have this combination where you're giving them bona fides, food, you're giving them shelter, you're giving them different things. Because if you don't provide that, the reality is that we don't have real things to purchase with. If we're not providing actual work and providing goods and services for those things, that's when we start having inflation, because we got more money, but we don't have actual output to back that up. So the job guarantee provides that buffer stock for the employment. Now, I'm not talking about for capitalism. We're talking about an entirely different worldview here. And unfortunately, a lot of people view it through the top-down supply side version of the world and not the bottom-up version. And it really is a play on words. I sat down, I guess it was November 14th or something like that. I was in DC at a convention or a seminar, and I got to interview an economist that works at the Levy Institute and Bard College, and her entire platform is based on promoting the federal job guarantee. And she explained it to me, because I came at it like, hey man, for real, is this like just going to be like busy work? I mean, what are you talking about? She said, change the way you view things. If you want to be an artist, why not? That's for the public purpose. The idea is to enhance the public purpose.
Okay, I agree with that. Now, here's why I think the job guarantee is the way to go about that. It's like, do you really think the government's going to do a good job at, making jobs for artists? And mentioned the importance of rethinking how we look at work. Childcare, taking care of an aging parent, art. These are all forms of work that in today's market, in our society, they don't get valued. They don't get any money. You don't get paid for taking care of your own child. You can get paid for taking someone else. You can get paid. This is how absurd it is. You can get paid for taking care of someone else's kid. And then you can pay them to take care of your kid. That's absurd. People should be able to afford, or just be able to take their own kids, their own family, rather than take a job to take care of someone else's family. It's silly.
Yeah.
Now here's the way this works with them is basically enables everybody to, gives them the freedom, the fact that they have enough money to survive, to pay basic rent, basic food. That gives them the freedom to spend their time how they want. So they work on whatever they see as important, whatever they're inspired to do, whatever is needed. How would a job guarantee do that? How would Mint tell you, okay, you can taking care of your own parents, or okay, you can be an artist, okay, your own business. That just seems like a lot of unnecessary bureaucracy, and I feel things are just more efficient when people are free to make these decisions. Well,
they're still in this environment. They're still free to do that. The idea here is it's locally administered. Like Jill talks about having local employment offices instead of local unemployment offices. And so, in talking with David Cobb, I know that there's some consideration for a federal job guarantee with the Green Party as well. And the idea here is just remember, we live in a pluralistic society. And, in discussing how to get to where you want to get to and where I want to get to, the concern typically comes back to how do you get that past the Republicans, or how do you get that past even the blue dog Democrats, much less, because I mean, I was debating some guy the other day foolishly, and he said, "There's no such thing as a free lunch." I was like hell, there's not. There absolutely is.
Can I give a few examples?
Yeah, sure.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, how about the land that we grow food on? We didn't create it. How about that grows the plants that we get food from? I mean, and a lot of these, middle America or Republicans, in middle America, they have this, we earned this land, but the fact is their ancestors were given land by Abraham Lincoln during the Homestead Act. Like literally, we we stole it from the Indians, gave it to Americans, just gave it to them. So, I mean, nobody created their land. The entire universe. Actually, this is very interesting if you're a science geek. Look it up. The scientists are saying that the universe somehow was created out of nothing. It's hard to wrap your head around, but yeah, that's for later Googling. Well, yeah, go ahead. Your mom, most of us took care of you for nothing. Nobody was paying her to do it. So there's a lot of free lunches. Sorry.
No, that's no. It's all good, man. It's all good. I mean, I believe me when I say this. The truth of the matter is that economics, when it comes down to how you tie things down, there is okay, so going back to 1971 and before when we were on the gold standard, you have a pool of money, you have a pool of gold. When you print more money, you're quote unquote devaluing the currency because you have this stock of gold and you're slicing the pie thinner and thinner and thinner. And this is what you hear most of the people that don't really understand economics trying to talk about today. Hey, if we print more money, we'll have inflation. Well, the key is not whether or not we print more money or whether we create more money or whether we do anything with more money. The key is, do we have real resources to back that money up? Do we have actual work? Do we have actual productive efforts and et cetera that come out of that? And in the economy, unfortunately, you have to base that factor on how many people are unemployed. What is your work pool? What is your resource base? What are you actually producing? All this other good stuff that comes in. And that's how you buffer against another Bush recession. Because you can give them all the money in the world, but if inflation catches up, they're just as poor as they were. And that's the real concern with just a basic income guarantee. It's not so much that the basic income guarantee is bad, because I, for one, am for it. But I do believe that they are complementary in nature. And I can give you some good stuff to read, because I think that we're on the same team. I mean, we are on the same team. But I think that the idea here is that
we recognize we got to end poverty. It's absurd in an age where
Amen.
there's so much abundance. So that's the goal here.
Absolutely. No, so what I want to know is, how many people are you anticipating being at your action?
Okay, well, I don't know. What's different about this action than others is, yes, we're putting out some cool banners, attention-getting posters, but we're just gonna set up at the memorial instead of marching around. Hey, if people want to do that, we'll see how it goes. But really, the plan is set up a little MLK exhibit for economic injustice and accomplish economic justice at the MLK Memorial. So we're just gonna stay put, attention, and just kind of interact with the public, start some discussions about basic income, introduce them to the fact that MLK was a big supporter of it. And so while I don't know how many show up to volunteer to help me personally with this mobile exhibit, there's going to be a lot of at MLK Memorial on MLK Day. So that's what's great about. I mean, that's what about this idea is, like, rather than marching around, you're just going to come to us.
That's
That's what I'm
awesome.
thinking.
So, so how can anybody that's watching be there? I mean, what is the is there anything that they? I mean, are you covering it live, or what? Where can people
Yes.
see it if they're remote? What is going to happen here? Tell us a little
Okay.
bit more about the goings on.
Okay. Well, what's going on is we're making a memorial itself. It's a great statue of MLK in a ton of quotes etched in stone from MLK. Uh, but so we're bringing in a section of quotes. We're printing them on banners and posters. I'm going to have a audio video installation with a few monitors, so you can actually hear and see MLK talking about what we need to do to solve economic injustice, how to eliminate poverty. And what else was it? Oh yes. And normally, when I go to these protests or events, this is not a protest. When I go to these actions events, I'm bringing a camera, and I'm the camera. I'm making the video. I'm organizing this, so I'm really I need help documenting this. So I need people to show up, and it'd be great to record it live on Facebook, shoot some video. I'm definitely go and try to edit something epic out of it afterwards. Um, yeah, so really, where I need help is like people showing up. If you're nerd or you're interested, come over, learn more about it, tell the public about it. It's an atmosphere to do that. And then, as I said, document, and also, hey, this is. I really hope somebody shows up in a robot. We need a couple people in a robot costume. That would be really great. Because that's going to draw some attention. And believe it or not, Martin Luther King Jr. warned us about job automation, about the danger of jobs being automated away to technology. He was talking that in the 60s, end of the 60s. I mean, so, man, I've been listening to, just to come up with, get material for the installation. I've been watching dozens of unfortunately, I don't have visuals back then, but dozens of all of MLK's speeches, and man, it's so relevant, not more relevant than ever.
So let me just say this: in this country, we have thousands of bridges that are completely and utterly in ill repair. Like every time you drive on a bridge, you're taking your life in your hands. Our energy grid is so antiquated, it's almost unbelievable. It's like unbearable. We are prone to attack at any time. We are completely and utterly on non-sustainable energy right now. We have people that are unable to get health care today because there's not enough healthcare professionals. There's not a good program. There's no single payer, et cetera. The entire range of Green New Deal items are all there, that none of which can be automated. Everything that we're talking about in these things literally cannot be, well, maybe it could be automated, but it really wouldn't matter. The bottom line is we've neglected America. Even though we have gotten fat on consumer products, we have neglected the essence of America. I mean, our kids, they go to school and they got to pay just to go to band practice. They've got to pay to play soccer. I mean, they got to pay to take art class. It's ridiculous. So we've got so much productive potential. And when I say productive, I'm not talking about it in terms of you capitalist swine kind of productivity. I'm talking about real public purpose productivity that is completely and utterly being let go of based on this faulty lie that we are somehow or another broke, that we don't have enough cash, that we don't have, and just taking it from a layman's terms, how can you spend all this money on wars? How can you go ahead and give Israel all this money? How can you do this? How can you do that? And not have enough money to pay for mental health and pay for all these things. And the reality is that we have more than enough things that are not being done today based on the lie that we're somehow or another strapped and broke. And so my thing is this: if you look at the opportunity cost, if you look at the lost productivity, we'll never get it back. And remember, don't think about it like in terms of capitalist terms, but like in terms of just the public purpose, our entire nation, the good of the nation. I mean, we are leaving so much important stuff behind. Research and development on diseases, things like that. So I think you're seeing an entire country based on customer service. Thank you for calling Bell Atlantic. How can I help you? Kind of jobs, as opposed to real meaningful work that people could really sink their teeth into.
Yes, whether we're doing sorry to cut you off. I can't hear you. Wait, say something to me.
You're on the right track.
Okay, cool. So I was gonna say yes. Whether through a job guarantee or basic income, we need a radical redistribution of wealth. And Martin Luther King said just that. Without a radical distribution of political and economic power, we're screwed. I'm paraphrasing that end part. I don't remember the exact quote, but let me say. So, Stephen, you brought up, that, but basic income and guarantee, they're both expensive propositions. We agree that we have the money. We just need to, read to either of those proposals or both in your case. But here's the thing: if they're both hugely expensive, and they are, I mean, just how do you do both? I don't understand. Like, how do you convince people to do both?
Okay, so let's talk about this. This nation, as sad as this is steeped in Calvinism. It is steeped in the work ethic. It's steeped in this whole bullshit idea of skin in the game. And it's steeped in the idea of the ne'er-do-goods are always poor.
If you want to end that, then, I mean, the job guarantee about that. It's all about, like, that we want to move away from that. We want to recognize, meaningful work that doesn't get recognized as hard work.
We're on the same page. Yeah. No, we're on the same page. I think there is a difference in terms of what you're saying is that I'm suggesting that those things that you're talking about would fall under a job guarantee. And there's a reason for that in terms of pegging our value of our currency, if you will, and producing a buffer stock for employment to allow for people to fulfill their desires and to take care of these things. The basic income is not enough money. You're talking about, I've seen figures thrown all around like 2,000, 5,000, 30,000. I mean, you start getting into this situation where you've got to really ask yourself, what am I getting for this? Why are we doing this? How does this benefit the public purpose? And I keep coming back to the public purpose because ultimately, like, okay, if you run out of real jobs, like these robotic conversations that I hear frequently about technological unemployment, you've got a situation where we have literally, with all due respect, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking? You're 30?
Yes.
Okay. When I was a kid, and I'm 47, when I was a kid, everybody got to take band class. They got to play the flute, the clarinet, the drums. They walked into school and it was like not even a question. You got to be in the band. My kids now, they have to go out and buy an instrument. They got to pay for this stuff. Everything is paid for. There's none of it covered anymore. And a lot of this has all been as we've completely pared down just to the essentials, and we've eliminated so much of the art and so much of the culture. I think that there is a reason here that people want a dignified, they consider work a right, having a job a right, and a job being not going in and pushing paper from one side of the desk to the other. I'm talking about compensation for the things that we're talking about. I'm taking care of mom, that's a job. I'm going ahead and I'm teaching the kids economics. I'm teaching an economics seminar to kids at night. That's a job. It's not just volunteer work, it's a job. And it's just changing the way we view work so that, because think about it, it's like the ne'er-do-goods. What is the first thing that happens when somebody walks up to the cashier with their SNAP card? Instantly, you got somebody looking over their shoulder. You got crab meat with your Snap card? Well, how come they're buying
Yeah.
designer clothes? I mean, just the point is that you take away the smear and you keep the dignity. At least this is the take in our current environment. You've got to realize, and this has been the most difficult part for me, recognizing that we are, in fact, not living in our progressive bubble, but we have to actually go out there amongst the right wing and the rest
Oh
of it.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, you mentioned how the job guarantee, if you have a job guarantee, that eliminates like the smear of welfare these days. That, unfortunately, yeah. I mean, the right pushes this. You should be ashamed of for being on welfare, blaming the poor. Basically, we blame the poor. But a guaranteed income would get rid of that smear and shaming as well, because everybody gets it, and that's why you actually get agreement from the right on this, from like hard, just strict capitalists, and they're a lot of them, once they hear about it, they really agree that a guaranteed income is a great system, compared to our current mess of a welfare system. I mean, people shouldn't have to apply every week, to see if they can afford, get food benefits or not. No, I mean, everybody should just get enough automatically to live on. Basic. I'm not proposing everybody should have a mansion and a Lamborghini. No, no, no. Just basic needs. And let me ask you this. I mean, how would a job guarantee, if there's a government job guarantee, no basic income, how do you reimburse somebody who's doing work to take care of their aging parents? How would that work?
they would have the job guarantee. I mean, they would get paid for it. It's largely a similar function. They serve similar functions. The difference is that you're actually tying it to the public purpose. So you're getting people to serve the public purpose. I mean, that's really ultimately what we're talking about here. Once you tie it to that, okay, there's a host of reasons, intrinsic value. There's certain things about the human ethic, if you will, that are both socialized and inherent. And then on top of that, the basic economic value of it, which I go back to as the preeminent pegging the economy to labor, is putting our labor first. Instead of having a top-down, trickle-down economy, you're building a bottom-up, demand-side, worker-first economy. And that's really, I think, the essence of it. You're providing an anchor to your economy through labor.
No argument here. Totally understand that and agree. But I'm just pointing out that, through a job guarantee, like if you want people to do like the work that's not recognized, child care, elderly care, a job guarantee, you would have to like fill out an application to the government. Here, I'm caring for my alien father. Please, make it a job for me. I mean, that just sounds like a mess. I mean, to have to do that, and I don't know. It's so much more efficient to give it to everybody, because, like you said, we have this. We're and we're going to care for our community. Most people. I mean, there are some psychopaths, but most people do work that benefits the community, for no other reason. I mean, even if you do believe that people are greedy, they're gonna. I mean, you're enabling them, to if they're not going to take care of kids or the elderly or do art to benefit society, they're going to, create businesses where they can, make money. And the only way they're going to do that is in businesses that people actually want to spend money on to benefit people. Anyway. Hey, there's been some good comments. If anybody's got questions for us, give us a comment. And Linda earlier, great point, that we did have, and maybe Stephen, you can confirm this or not, but the CCC, the Civilian Conservation Corps, that was essentially a job guarantee, right, to get us out of the.
Absolutely.
Right?
I mean, we've had many different
Wasn't that a
versions,
job
and each
guarantee?
time the stuff
Yeah.
gets yanked away.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, just think about this. What would be the most logical thing that the GOP would snatch away? A basic income or a job guarantee? And I think that and that's at a different level. That's not even like economic logic. That's just pure politics when you say that. But that's reality. As you know, that the idea is the scowling finger of Calvin pointing at the ne'er-do-goods. I do believe that, like I said, I am a huge fan. Roger Malcolm Mitchell is a basic income guy. He's like, hey, the point is we need to get money in their hands of the people. That's his take on it. The job guarantee side is, hey, we need to anchor the economy to labor, and we also need to provide people with dignity and a job that they want, something that they enjoy, something that makes them feel fulfilled, and allow them to get compensated for it.
Right? The
What's that?
income does that too. You're saying the job guarantee, it gives people their dignity, but a basic income does too. It says, hey, you do deserve to live like everybody else. We are gonna, your society does care about you. That gives people their dignity back as well, and it enables them to do work.
Just so you know, I think this is worth saying. Within the community that I inhabit, there is a huge, like I was watching Stephanie Kelton and Pavlina Cherneva talking about, hey, if your answer is, hey, worrying about the robots, you got nothing. And that their concern is, hey, we've got plenty of public purpose to provide people with reason to work and do for their own lives, et cetera. The flip side, like I said, is that the basic income gang is like, hey, saying the same things you're saying. And then there's another group that I listen to, a friend of mine who writes at a place called the Minskys, said that the job guarantee and the basic income guarantee are not in opposition to one another. They are complementary to one another. And so when you start breaking down the numbers, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not in a position to do that on this live stream. But the reality is that I think that there is a lot of reasons why funding this won't be an issue, because our goal would be to explain, hey, this isn't just for the poor. This isn't just this isn't like welfare. This is a citizen's dividend, if you want to call it that. Call it whatever you want to call it, man. Whatever makes you feel good, call it that. But that ultimately is, hey, we should not be. I'll give you an example. I have 2 master's degrees, and I had a 17-year career at Verizon. When the big recession hit, I lost a job that, I had 6 weeks of vacation. I had paid family members, had tons of benefits. Healthcare was provided. I could go to school when I wanted to. And all of a sudden, done. Wow. And I didn't know what to do. Numb. Just completely numb. My whole life flashed before my eyes. Grass was 6 feet tall. I didn't even have reverse in my car. It was horrible. And all the scowling Calvinists, you should have made better decisions.
Yeah.
You should have, all the shouldas. And I look back at that and I think to myself, I'm so sick of right-wing, authoritarian, disgusting beliefs. But the flip side is, it doesn't matter whether I'm disgusted by it or not. Almost half the country, the voting country, is conservative, at least in some way, shape, or form. So the only way to get past that is to provide. They don't like welfare because then they want to scowl and see if you deserve it, right? They always want to make sure you deserve what you're getting. You made bad choice, you don't deserve anything. And so both a basic income guarantee, which is for everyone, does away with that whole concept of, yes, I'm a citizen, I deserve it. The next bit is the job guarantee appeals to their sense of right and wrong too. So what you're doing is you're advancing towards a goal that we all have dignity and we all have the ability to survive the next recession. And it's coming, by the way.
Oh,
thank you,
for
Obama.
sure.
And
Well,
it is. Trust me. We can get into that another time. But the neoliberals of the so-called left, which are really center-right, liars, they've taken and co-opted all of us as progressives and basically told us we love you, we love you, we love you, while doing exactly what the GOP does with better bedside manners.
Yeah.
And we're at this point now where the next recession is coming. I mean, we've got students going to be able to survive. This is going to be, in my opinion, this could be every bit as bad, if not worse than the last one. And, I'm scared to death and I don't see anybody proposing anything. I mean, we are at the grassroots, we're talking about it, but the people in power, they don't give a shit. They're not talking about this stuff. When's the last time
the same bubble that thinks that, Bernie Sanders is like nuts. Who else gonna, go with Bernie Sanders? Who's gonna follow him? Who's gonna think that he's making sense? Most of the people, pretty much anybody under the age of 70, if you get a chance to actually live. I mean, which people unfortunately have, because you're like, I don't know. Anyway, but it's that same bubble that's thinking that, hey, we're raking it in. They don't realize that, everyone else's income is going down, getting cut off, going from, if they're lucky enough to, have a job, it's part-time. They can lose it. That, I mean, there's no job security these days. And if
absolutely
bubble,
not. You're spot on. I mean, again, I think what this comes down to is that ultimately, no matter what, right? I mean, no matter what way we go, how we go, if we go at all, we have to fight. And you and I and this to take to the streets, to talk to people, to get read up on all the different opportunities and options that are out there. And so that we can take the path of least resistance, whatever that is, and make sure people can survive. Because I'm telling you right now, until our government learns that it can spend on the public purpose without having to sit there and beg, borrow, and steal and raise taxes and fight the tax war, until they realize that we can spend right now, we're all screwed, because they will let us we'll be the new doormat for them again and again and again. And I'm telling you right now, folks, many people such as myself, we look good on paper, but I'm telling you right now, when my paycheck comes through, I'm negative before the first dollar gets spent. And the world has not caught up from the last recession. Many people are still licking their wounds trying to get out of that. And if and I love the fact that you're taking to the streets with this, Matt. I mean, I'm so proud of you. And I mean, this is like huge to me, regardless of whether I think it should be the combo or the one or the other. The point is to something very, very important. And I can't begin to tell you how much gratitude I have for your efforts in doing that, regardless.
Thanks.
So,
well,
bravo.
likewise, man, you do a great job at Real Progressives, just, keeping people current on what's going on, what people need to be current on, how, all the talking points we talk about tonight. We need a radical redistribution of wealth. Like you said, there's going to be another recession. I mean, it's just inevitable. That's how this works. I mean, you can speak better about that than me. You've got a master's in it, right? So.
Oh, you know what? Don't even go there. I had to unlearn my master's. Literally, they taught the nonsense about that we're on the gold standard, that we can't spend or we'll devalue our money. And oh my God, what about inflation, hyperinflation, and Zimbabwe and Argentina and all this crap? Instead of teaching us the truth about a sovereign fiat currency that came into play in 1971. I mean, ultimately, we have been lied to so much. I mean, Matt, when the light bulbs goes on, and people have been following us for a while, have been having these moments where they're like, I am so effing angry at our government for pretending like we're broke. if we're talking about having to cut Social Security, if we're talking about having to cut Medicaid, Medicare, if we're having to cut all these things and not give it, the COLAs and all the different things that go with it, for lying to us. This is the real lie. Forget the emails at Hillary. They were horrible, but this is the real lie. This is the biggest lie of them all. And then what happens? We at the bottom fight each other. You look over there, you see somebody's got a nickel more than you, and you're jealous of them instead of looking at the real people that are screwing us and friggin' taking the pitchforks and torches out and taking it to them. We should not be fighting amongst ourselves. That's the bottom line on that one.
It's true. Oh, man. But yeah, I mean, and it's so natural, though, for people to feel that way. It's understandable. You see someone, because you see someone, hey, they got an all right job, and you're just like, and it's understandable and natural to be jealous because many, 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 many people are qualified for any job there is. You're never going to have enough jobs for everybody, unless perhaps you do your job here. But so yeah, it's so hard to get sucked into that jealousy because it's that human nature. You have to recognize that the bigger picture, and that should everybody getting an income, whether it's through a guaranteed income or a job guarantee, one way or another, everybody deserves it, and we have to do this. We just have to rethink how we're spending it. And there's this great quote. Anybody that listens to the Jimmy Dore shows heard this. Money. Tell me if you've heard of this one.
Okay.
In a big pile. Money is like shit. In a big pile, but if you spread it around, things grow. I don't know. I thought it was a pretty good question.
No, you're okay. So let's put it to you this way. The thing with the basic income guarantee and the thing with the federal job guarantee, both of those provide a source to change income inequality. They immediately solve for abject poverty. They immediately solve for some basics, right? They do it in a way that even the idea of taxing the rich first, this is the most important thing. Like, for example, I'm not going to fight about taxation until we give people the jobs, until we give them the money needs that they have, because we don't need to tax to spend. The two functions are separate. So the idea, and this is what we're having right now, and this is why you and I have got to get real smart real quick on this stuff, because there's many people out there that would rather fight about the tax war. They would rather focus on taxes because they genuinely believe that taxes fund spending, but it's all keystrokes. It's all friggin' just numbers. And the bottom line is we created the dollar from thin air. We can print it from thin air, and we need to start acting like it. Because I'm telling you right now, as long as we tax in the dollar, you can't pay your taxes in chicken necks. You can't pay them in clamshells. You can't pay them in gold bullion, and you can't pay them in barrels of oil. You can only pay your taxes in U.S. dollars. So the reason for that is to drive the monopoly power of the dollar, which keeps our currency valuable in our country, and it allows us to be able to make these bold things that we can do. But we've been held back by gold bug logic, from yesteryear that no longer is of any value, and people are suffering big time today.
Yeah. And
now.
What do you think of this? I was just thinking about this. You say, our money, it's based on nothing. It has no gold backing. It has no real inherent value as it is. People are over it. You can't, spend more money, get more money, right, to spend on a job guarantee. It's like, that'll cause inflation. But our money has inherent value. And it's kind of like this. How's this metaphor? I mean, the gold coins in Mario don't mean shit. They have no fucking value. But people just keep fucking, they'll play that game all day long, get coins. It has no value. I don't know. Just a thought.
Yeah, hey.
Go for those coins. Anyway.
They do. Absolutely. Wait, Matt, just so you know, we're up against the hour. I want to give you a chance to give a closing parting thought. Go ahead and give everybody your last pitch to come out there and support you and whatever else you need.
Okay. I if you're in DC, come check out, or even if you're not, go check out the event. It's MLK Day Basic Income Action. So we're going to go down to the MLK Memorial in Washington, D.C., and some banners and stands, signs of MLK quotes, economic justice, how we need economic justice, and how we can accomplish that with the guaranteed income. Also some quotes about MLK warning us way back then of the dangers of job automation, how it's going to happen. So join us to get this message out. And if you're not in DC, yeah, just check it out. Share with anybody you know in DC. Share me to get the word out. Thanks. Oh, and
Awesome.
youtube.com/orf if you want to see some ORF.
Awesome. All right, Matt, thank you very much for joining. Folks, thank you very much. I'm sorry for any kinds of, broadcast interruptions and so forth with the connection, but we had a really good time tonight. Bottom line is, please read up on the basic income guarantee, read up on the job guarantee, read up on ways of making America suck a little less. And with that, I'm Steve with Real Progressives. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a great night, everybody.
Good night. Thanks, Steve.